Okay, so we're back for part two. So for part two, this is where you're going to need the majority of your supplies. Now, I'm just using different colors of fabrics because I kind of like the look of how it looked really nice in different colors instead of just one solid color. But you can use one solid color. So for starters, let's talk about the zipper part. The zipper I have here is the matching one to this. So this is a 7-inch, this one's a 16-inch. So I'm going to use the same zipper, just a longer one. So this is a 16-inch. It's not an open-end zipper. It does stop right there. So that's the first thing you're going to need. Then you're going to cut 2 strips of fabric. And I always cut my fabric because I just used fat quarters for this entire project. I used different colors of fat quarters. So I just folded my fat quarters in half like this, and I cut along the length of it. So these here are 4 inches by 22 inches. So you're going to need 2 of these strap pieces cut into 4-inch strips. So 2 of them. But you can make your strap. I went 22 inches, but you can make it even longer if you want to put this bag over your shoulder. You could have a shoulder bag. And it still will be quite long with just that. So there's your straps. Now, for your zipper part, what we're going to sew our zipper on is we're going to need a piece of fabric. And this one is... this is 8 inches here by 16 inches long, or 14. Let me check. Pretty sure it should be 14, not 16. Yes. Okay, so this is 14. I'm going to change this because I don't want to write this down on my info box and have the wrong size. All right. So you're going to need 1 strip in a contrasting color. So I'm using, again, the same color as my pocket in 8 by 14, so 8 by 14 long. Make sure you iron all your creases out of it before you cut it. Okay, so that's this piece. You're also going to need 2 strips in another color, or whatever color you're using, 4 inches by 18 inches long. So these are 4 inches wide here and 18 inches in length. So you're going to need 2 of those. Now for the actual bag itself, this is how I plan to make my bag. I cut pieces. So you can make 1 solid piece if you want, or you can do what I'm doing here. I've used 2 colors of fabrics. So this is the way the front of my bag, one side of it's going to look. And then when you flip the bag on the other side, it's going to be this at the tops. So it'll be like this on the other side. So let me just flip these 2 pieces over, and it'll be 2 different pieces of looking fabric. But that's what the sides are going to look like. So you're going to cut, if you're going to do the bag like this, you're going to cut it exactly, these are 7 inches wide here by 18 inches long. So we have 7 inches by 18, and you need 4 pieces of this if you're going to do it this way. And I've got 2 of each color. So I've got 2 in this color and 2 in this really looks like a tie-dyed purple. And these are what I'm, or you could do it, like I said, all the same colors or just 2 colors and cut them separately. I just did it this way because it was easier and not wasting any of my fat quarter. So that's what I did. I took a fat quarter and cut it on a fat quarter. So you'll need 2 of one color, 2 of another color, and you're going to need them in 7 by 18. I'm sure that was 7. Yeah, 4 of them by 7. This one here is 4 or 5. I think this is 5. Yep. So this one is 5 inches by 7 inches or 18 inches. So you're going to need 2 of those and 1 of each color, again, if you're doing it like I'm doing it. And I just think that's how we did the other bags, and I think they looked really cute. Okay, so we just gave them a different look on each side. The only thing is, if you want to create, this is my pocket that's going to go on top of this fabric, so it's going to stand out really, really nice. So it's up to you what you want to do. It's your project, and you have fun with it. Now, as for some lining, I'm going to show you how I did mine here. Let me just get these pieces out of the way for now. I don't want to crease everything because I have already pressed everything. And you should keep all your fabric pressed because it's much easier to work with. Now, I took a piece of white cotton. This is just plain white cotton. And I cut it on the fold. So it's still folded here. And I cut a nice long length. It's 18 inches wide. So just making sure it's 18 inches, the same as the front and the back panel of our tote. But it's now 20 inches long. It will be too long, and we are going to cut off this folded seam anyway and sew it together a little later on in the project. So if you want to cut yourself two pieces, you can cut them. I would stick with 20 inches long because once we sew these together, we'll just trim everything off and we'll have a nice piece of linen or lining. Okay, so you're also going to need, this is called lightweight interfacing. So it's very lightweight, and I haven't cut it yet, and I'm going to show you why I haven't cut it yet, because I want to cut it after I sew my front and my back panels. And once I sew those, then I'm going to cut two pieces of lightweight interfacing. So lightweight interfacing is sorry, is kind of bumpy on one side here because that's the adhesive. The reason I'm using lightweight interfacing is because I'm using cotton, and I want my tote bag to be, you know, sturdy, that it's just not going to collapse. So if you use a little bit of lightweight interfacing, your tote bag won't collapse so easy, and it stiffens it right up really nicely. Sorry about that, intrusions with the phone. So yeah, like I was saying, you can cut this later. It's not a big huge rush to cut your light interfacing. You can even use a heavy interfacing. Now, one thing about a tote bag, it's pretty versatile. You can pretty much use any fabric. You don't have to use cotton. You can use jean material. You can probably use drape material because drape material is really thick, or, you know, all kinds of linens that are fairly thick. But I'm just using, we're going to put this on the back of our front and the back panels just to stiffen our panels up. Our lining's going to stay this nice white. So the inside of the bag is all you're going to see is this inside. This lining, or this interfacing, will be inside between the panel and your lining. So you're not going to see this anyway, so it doesn't really matter what color you use. I have black in this as well, and I put black on my sister's because her bag was all done in dark blue and light blue, but her panels were dark, and we did hers in a heavyweight, which made it a wee bit stronger. So for the materials, that's basically all you're going to need. Remember, keep everything at the width of 18 inches. You're also going to need some ribbon. This is about, I would say, 1¼ inch, maybe. It is 1¼ inch ribbon. And you're going to need this to hide your straps when we put the straps on, but you're also going to need it for the ends of our zippers. So when we finish off our zippers, we're going to put them inside of a piece of ribbon and top stitch all the way around like that. Let me just get a piece here so you can see what I'm talking about. And this ribbon is really, really cheap. It was like $1 at the dollar store. And it's cloth ribbon, so it's look at how big this roll. It was $2 or $3. My sister bought 2 of them in my color, of course, in the purples. So I'm not sure what color I'm going to use because I don't remember what I'm using for my zipper color there. So darker light. Anyways, eventually this will come off. All right. Now you take a piece of ribbon. Please tell me this is cloth and not plastic. It's semi. I don't know how that's going to work, but okay. But anyway, you're going to have a piece of ribbon like so, fold it over, and it's going to go and it's going to hide your zipper inside like this. So it's going to look really, really nice. It's going to finish off the ends of your zipper. Because the way we're doing our zipper, it's not going to be fully right up to the edge of the thing. Or you can take a piece of your fabric, and you can do this with your fabric, and cut, I would say cut about a 2-inch piece, 2-inch by 4 inches. And you can always do it with a piece of fabric and finish off your ends really nicely with a piece of fabric by just folding it in, you know, like this. And folding this end in. But it's got to be folded on this side too. And then just scooping it over. But I'm going to do it the easy way. I'm going to use some really nice thick ribbon here. I don't know if this is paper ribbon or if it's actually fabric, because it looks like fabric, but we'll find out the hard way. I'm just going to see if I can run it under water. And if I can run it under water, then it might be okay. Yeah, because it's even feels like paper to me. And there's a huge difference. Let me just cut this off. Okay. Yeah, this is just paper ribbon. But I don't know. I'm still going to use it because I think it's going to look really nice. I also have all kinds of other ribbons, real ribbons that are not plastic like this, that we can easily use too. But we'll cross that bridge when it comes. Like I said, you just need little pieces of little pieces for your ends of your zipper to finish it off, and we'll get to that when the time comes again. So I'm going to go and get my machine set up, because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sew our panels together. I'm going to show you how to do our panels. So let me get this stuff out of the way, and we're going to sew our pocket on, and we're also going to cut our interfacing, so everything is all ready to go when we start doing the actual bag. So I have, like I said, I have 2 ends like this, or I may even do this here like this. So I'm going to do the front like that. And this one's going to be there, so we're going to sew it with right sides together like this. And I got a folded end there. And then on this piece here, we're going to sew to this one right sides together like that. Okay, and then when I come back, we're going to press open all our seams. I'll be right back. Let me get my sewing machine out, and we're going to get started on this. Okay, so we're at the sewing machine now, and I've put on my regular 1/4 inch foot. So we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam. So I'm just going to line this up here with my 1/4 inch foot, put my needle in the down position, hold these 2 threads, take a couple of stitches, back up. Oops, and it got snagged. Not sure why it did that. See? I don't like that, how it did that, because that just all puckered up in there. So I'm not sure why my machine's doing this, but it's doing it a lot lately. Alright. I think my machine needs some work on the feed dogs here, because it's something to do with those feed dogs. So we're going to start again. Go back and just do a 1/4 inch. Now you can pin these 2 layers together if you want, but I'm just sewing along. I don't really need to pin them. They're just 2 layers here. And I'm just making sure they're all evened out. They're all lined up nice. Okay. And trim that off. I'm not sure where the pink came from. Alright, and I'm going to trim off these threads as well. Okay, so now what you're going to do is open it up So now you have your two pieces together. So now you're going to take your other piece and line it up, right sides together, of course, with the smaller one on top, or the bigger one on top of the smaller one, and line them up and sew across them the same way you just did. So I'm just gonna line them up nice here, like this. Pull this thread out like that, and I'm gonna go in a wee bit more, do a couple of anchoring stitches and back up. There we go. And I just like to make sure I use my fingernails that everything lines up nicely. So this will be the size of your bag minus your seam allowances. Okay, so it's not going to be overly huge. It just looks huge, but don't forget we're going to be sewing seam allowances on this. So continue this like so. And now, well, I'll just turn that off there. Now you want to go and press your seams open, and I'm going to press them whatever way when I stretch this open like this, whatever direction my seams want to go in, that's the way I'm going to iron them. Usually it's to the dark side, so looks like it's going to be to the light side, unfortunately. Just give them a nice good press. And don't distort your fabric by using too much steam and dragging your iron across it while you're ironing it, because that really and truly distorts your piece. So don't do that. Okay, so now I'm ironing the top, making sure I have absolutely no folds, which I did have, and there we go. Now we've got a nice ironed piece. So what you're going to do now is you're going to repeat this exact same step for the other three pieces, interchanging them, and this will be your front and your back panel. Okay, so I'm going to go offline and sew the other pieces together, these ones here, and I'm going to come back and show you when I'm done. Okay guys, I have my front and my back panel done, and as you can see they're both really different. They're cute and I really love this fabric, but this is please don't ask me where I got this fabric, because unfortunately, or what it is, unfortunately I bought all of these fat quarters 7-8 years ago off of eBay, and I bought tons and tons and tons of fat quarters that I'm just working with these old pieces of fat quarters that I'm used, and I've had them sealed away in totes and stuff, so nothing got yellowed, or, well, it won't get yellow because I don't smoke in my house kind of thing, so it's not gonna turn dirty. Anyway, you're going to line your fabric up now. You've sewed your three panels together. So let's measure how big each panel is going to be so we can cut our lightweight interfacing. So this is all I'm concerned about. I know it's 18 inches wide by, it's 18 by approximately 18. So that's how, it's kind of a little crooked to me, but so we're going to cut two pieces of 18 by 18 pieces of lightweight fabric, or interfacing. So that's my interfacing here. So I'm just going to snip this piece off with my scissors, just because it's kind of useless to me at the moment. And even if this is crooked, it isn't going to matter. It's just two pieces of lightweight interfacing. So we need it 18 inches wide. So this is going to be a little bit longer than what I want, but that's okay. So I'm just going to cut this with my scissors. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to square it up You know me, square it up when we're done. All right, so let's get rid of that piece, and I'm going to cut off this crappy edge here. So 18 by 18 again. I want to cut my cord here for my sewing machine, so let me just unplug that. Don't want to do that by an accident. So we're going to go about 18. So it's going to probably be a wee bit longer, which is okay. Like I said, we're going to trim this all up anyway. All right, so there's our 2 pieces of interfacing. Now, what we're going to do is make sure you take your bumpy side, because that's going to go on the raw side of your fabric, and you're going to lay down your piece of fabric like this, like so, nice and straight and flat, and then lay the bumpy side down. So this is going to be the back looking of your fabric, because I'm not using, like I told you, I'm not using a very thick, strong, what do you call it? Thick, strong fabric. So I'm going to have to use a bit of interfacing just so I can stiffen this up a wee bit. So what I'm going to do is take this to the ironing board, and as you can see, it's overlapping on the edges here. I do not want to touch this on my ironing board, and I don't want to touch that with my iron. So I'm going to get a piece of parchment paper, and I'm going to put the parchment paper down, and then I'm going to iron this. And make sure you don't have anything crooked whatsoever or pleated underneath your fabric, so you don't bunch it up. And it'll make your fabric feel kind of weird once you iron this on. So I'm going to go and get a piece of parchment paper, which I don't have up here right now. I threw it out. I got to get some new stuff. And I'll be back. Okay, just so you all can see how I do this, I'm at my ironing board here, and I've got 2 pieces of parchment paper. And the parchment paper I use for this is just Betty Crocker parchment paper. And I keep this in my my room so I can use it for ironing sticky stuff. So here is my piece of fabric that I'm just going to lay down on one side, and I'm just going to do this in stages because I don't want any of this glue to get on my ironing board, and I don't want any on my iron. So I'm just going to heat this up and iron this on with the parchment paper, making sure it's sealed good. And then I'm just going to move it over. So as you can see, it's kind of stuck to the parchment, which is fine because it peels right off. And then I just slide this over and redo it on this side. So I'm just giving it a wee bit of steam. You really don't need steam when you're ironing interfacing, but it's not going to hurt it. So now we'll leave that piece down. I'm going to flip my piece over, and again I'm still going to make sure that this is nice and smooth and straight because we are going to trim it. And then I'm going to put my parchment paper back down, and I believe it was on this side. You want to keep the sticky side always on the sticky side. Okay, and then slide it on down. Over here, we're down to our last piece here. And I just overlap the ends so I don't get any on my ironing board and none on my fabric. Because that glue, we did it on my sister's, and we used the black interface. I don't know if you can see this, but that was off of her interfacing. So it kind of stained my ironing board here. Okay, so we've got our pieces. Now we're going to go and do the other one. So this one is now bonded, nice and smooth. We can even press it here, making sure it didn't crease on us. I just gotta find a place to put this so it's out of my way. And you can reuse these pieces. Like, you don't have to throw these out. There's no glue on them. Okay, and then I'm going to give this a press here. Just going to stay away from the edges. Alright, and then I'm going to go get the other one. So, we need to move my iron out of the way. So I'm going to put this side down nicely. Put my piece of interfacing on here. And I have a bird that came up here. Oh, I have to slide this over because it's not quite meeting there on the seam. And let me see if it's going to meet at the end here. And it's all going to be fine. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to iron this one. So take your parchment, line it up like so, and line this piece up, and go ahead and iron. You can even buy special paper that you could use for ironing stuff like this, but this is very inexpensive, and I'm sure everybody has parchment paper kicking around. So I'm going to iron this one. Alright, and flip it over. Make sure you smooth it all out so it doesn't buckle or kink on you. And like this, see? And finish it off. This stuff seals and bonds pretty quickly, so one more corner, and then we're good. And then we'll sew our pocket on. See how fast and easy it is? Even using parchment paper, which can really withstand the heat of our iron. So let's get rid of those. Flip this over now, and I'm going to give it a little iron, making sure it's good and sealed and bonded. And I got a little crease right there, which I tried not to do. So I'm going to probably hide my pocket. Oh no, it came out. So it's probably a good thing to come out and give them a little press. And that's it. Okay, see you back at the sewing machine. Alright, so now I know my edges are straight. So I'm just going to use my rotary cutter and my long ruler here. And I'm just going to trim that right even with my fabric, because I didn't stretch my fabric at all. And pull that up. I don't know, you don't have to trim it if you don't want to, but I'm all about neatness, and a heck of a lot easier to show you guys what to do. So I'm just lining this up with this edge, making sure it's good and straight. And I don't see any fabric there. Okay. And you're going to do this for both pieces because you want them to be nice tidy ends, and you don't need all this bulk. So it's best to trim off as you go. Trim as you go and keep your work station nice and neat. I have my garbage can handy right beside me here. So I try not to throw all this on my table, because it gets in my way of working. And trim that off. So there. This one is done. It's sealed all on the back. It's perfect. And it's much stronger now, you know. It's not so flimsy with just the cotton. So let's get this one trimmed up and I'll come back. Okay, so now it's time to put our lovely pocket on that we made, the earlier one. And the pocket can't go in the middle of the bag because we're going to be squaring off the bottom of this. So we're going to be using about 2 inches. So you want to kind of make it a little higher to the top. I'm going to go probably halfway here with where I seamed it here. And I'm just going to pin it there, but let me measure how much. So I have 4 inches there and I have 4.5. So I'm going to move this over 1/4 inch. So now we've got 4 1/4 and we've got 4 1/4 where my pocket's going to be. Now we want to kind of pin it, but first let's measure the same length from the top. So this is 3.5 inches from the top and it is 3, not quite 3.5. So I'm going to just stick some pins in. So I'm not going to allow the pins to get close enough to where I got to sew, because I'm just going to go along and sew all the way around that, ouch, with the top stitch. And I'm going to use my pin mores because like I told you guys, I hate pin pokes. And I could see I've shifted my pocket here, so let me just fix this. 3 1/4. Alright. So let me grab. Alright. I don't want any pin pokes. I hate them with a passion. Okay. So I'm kind of close there. I'll pull that pin out when I get to it. But I'm just pinning the pocket with these pin mores on it. Okay, and one more pin in there. Like that. Alright, so the pocket should be good like that. Now we're just going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to top stitch all the way around close to the edge of the pocket as possible, because then we're going to seal this off and then this piece is done. Okay, so let me grab the sewing machine again. Oh, and I really need to plug it back in because I did unplug it because of the cord. Now you could use your 1/4 inch foot and go in 1/4 inch, but I'm not going to use my 1/4 inch foot. I am just going to use my ordinary foot, and this will work just fine. And replace that. All right. So let's get this under the machine. And I don't want, I want it to be as close to the edge as possible. And again, if you sew sloppy lines like I do, then use a contrasting thread that matches your fabric. I'm not going to change my thread just because I want you guys to see it. And I really don't care if someone sees my crooked sewing job. Okay, so let me see roughly where I'm going to put my needle. I'm going to line it up with there. Actually, I'm going to start about here on the side, drop my needle down like this. And I'm not going to do any back stitches, so I'm just going to go very slow so I keep all my stitches even, my stitch line even. So I'm trying to, you know, not make it look like a kindergarten did it, but my top stitching Sucks balls. So I'm going to try and estimate where I want to pivot on the corner. So drop my needle down, turn, and I probably can take one more stitch. So, and there we go. And drop that down. Perfect. Okay, so as you can see, look, ain't that beautiful? Rub it and the magic will appear. Your line will be straight. So I'm just following the guide of my foot pedal to get this close to the edge and straight. Like, look at how amazing I'm doing. Can you guys pat me on the back? Okay, still gonna go slow. I don't want to go crazy here and go fast and screw up what I just did. So go slow, check the corner, and I got to take one more stitch, and we are good. Pivot. Perfect. Now we can probably take these pin mores out, because when I get to the top up here, I'm pretty sure it's going to be in my way, the zipper. So I'm moving the zipper, just taking my time. Not gonna go super crazy here, because I'm getting close to the zipper part and to that pin, which I want to move it out of my way, because I do not want it to move my foot pedal. Okay, and I probably know I have to take one more stitch, and we got her. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this out and drop my pedal down, and I think that looks pretty damn hot. Hotter than a guy in a Speedo. Wait, a guy in a Speedo? Ew. That's not hot. That's disgusting. I'm disgusting. Okay, I'm getting close to my beginning. I start here, and I think that's perfect. So in order, don't backstitch, just run over top of those very few stitches you took in the beginning. That's all you need to do. And I'm just gonna go take a couple of stitches and back tack in one spot, and we are done. Our pocket is done. Look at that, guys. I didn't even sew crooked. I'm very proud of myself. So let me flip this over and flip that over, and look at what we have. A really nice even top stitch. Look at my top stitching is perfect all the way around, and that's what you want to do. So now open up your pocket, and ta-da, you got yourself a really nice pocket. Look at that. You can put everything you want in your tote bag in your zippered pocket. I think that is such an amazing accomplishment. Look at that, guys. Okay, now this part of our project is done for now. So you can set your two front panel and back panel, your two pieces aside. And now we're going to get working on our zipper, and I'm going to come back and show you what we need to do to add a beautiful zipper in this, a drop zipper to boot. And I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back, and the pieces that we're going to need right now are these two strips, which we'll need as soon as we do our zipper. But first let's work on, and you're going to need your lining. This piece here is made to fit smaller on here, because this is the piece we're going to attach our zipper to. And actually this is going to turn into 4 pieces. Okay, and what I'm going to do is go and turn this and press this about a 1/4 inch in on the iron on both ends here, and then I'll be right back to show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so just do about a 1/4 inch. You don't got to do a huge amount, because We're just finishing off the edge of this piece right now. Okay, there's one side done. And here is my second side done. Okay, now we've got this like that. So first things first is you're going to fold this in half like this, okay, like so. Okay, fold it in half. Take your scissors, and now we're going to cut this in half. You could do it with this doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but you know, if you're wanting to get this perfect, use your rotary cutter. Okay, so we cut that in half. Now you're going to take this piece and you're going to fold this in half, and you're going to cut this piece in half as well. So we're going to end up with 4 pieces for our zipper. Okay, now going to cut as straight as I can without having kinks and crookedness. So there's 2 pieces, and now to do this one as well. Okay. Perfect. So I just kind of make a little fold line here, and that's basically what you can cut on. And if you open it up, you can see your fold line, but I find it easier just to cut it while it's folded. It's just that easy if you make, you know, a fake fold with your fingers. Okay, save you guys time, work, energy. All right, ta-da, we're done. Okay, so now we have 4 pieces like this. Okay, see this? And you're going to work with 2 pieces for each side of your zipper. So as you can see, our zipper is longer than what we expected it for this, but we're still going to use the whole zipper. So what you want to do is fold your zipper in half like this, even Steven, and make a little tiny cut on the corner here. Okay, so cut it on the corner. Tiny, I'm talking very tiny. It's going to make like a little notch. So I'm saying like that. See how tiny? And do it on both sides of your zipper. So that came undone. Folding it in half, making a teeny, teeny, tiny little notch. So this is what you did to your zipper. You notched it. If you go any bigger than that, you're not going to hide your notch. And if you do that with your strip as well, fold it in half and cut a little tiny notch in it. And I'm talking very tiny. Okay, like that. Open it up, and you could see the little tiny notch. So this is how we're going to line our zipper up, is match these notches. So we know that this zipper is centered. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So do that on the other piece. Actually, you can do it on all 4 of them. You don't need it to do it on both sides right now, but you can if you want, because you're going to eventually need, oh no, I don't know about that. So teeny tiny piece like that. Okay, you don't want that too deep because your 1/4 inch seam will not cover it. You'll have a hole. So I'm telling you to just cut the very tiny, tiniest tip off that you can. My sister cut big notches. So you don't want to do that, guys. One more. And it just helps you to, instead of sitting here measuring every piece to get it centered, if you just cut these little tiny, tiny notches in them, there's your centers. All right, so we have our zipper. We're going to take one piece of our lining and we're going to turn it this way. We're going to line our zipper up like this. Okay, line up your notches. That's the most important part of this, is lining up your notches. Then you're going to take this other piece and you're going to lay it, so sorry, I should have told you, right side up on your first strip, sit your zipper on top and make sure your folded ends are folded in there. And then you're going to put this one on top and sandwich your zipper between these layers, and then you're going to stick some pins in there. So, oops, you know what, I can't pin this when it's on top of my lining because it's going to go right through onto my lining. So I have to redo this. All right, so let's do it again. Right side up, make sure your folded ends are folded. Line your zipper up. One side like this and one side like this. So line that up nice. And then line this piece up on top, and everything should line up absolutely perfect. Okay, so now you're going to take your pin and you're going to pin that down. And it's important that you pin all 3 layers. You can do 1 layer at a time, but I can't stand it to sew and sew and sew. So, you know, instead of sewing 2 lines, I could just sew once and sew all 3 pieces together and just make it that easy. Okay, and be careful that you don't do that. All right, and I'm going to show you a trick. So when you get to your end, don't sew over that folded edge. I want to show you something. Actually, go ahead, sew it right down, because we're not going to cut these off. So never mind, don't listen to me, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm just making sure my zipper is perfect with my lining. And I'm going to grab another pin and one more. Everything's all lined up nice and perfect. There we go. So for some reason this piece is not lined up with that piece, so all I'm going to do is take this and press it so that these edges line up, and like that. Okay, so all I did was make sure that these 2 edges here line up and that these 2 edges here line up perfectly. Okay, so it's really important that you line that up because you're going to see that. And I'm just going to stick a pin in this way to keep it from shifting. Now we're going to go ahead and sew this, and actually I'm going to stick pins. Let me get rid of this flipping needle I have in here before it drives me to drink. What I'm going to do is, I find it very awkward. I pinned it like this, but it was just the quickest way, is I'm just going to go ahead now and stick pins in this way and pull my other pins out, because it's easier for me to pull these pins out when I'm sewing if I pin it in this direction. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. My camera died, so I had to go get the charger. Now, put these 2 aside here. Let me bring my sewing machine back here so you guys can see the fun. And we're going to need to put our zipper foot on again. So everybody should have a zipper foot. And I'm going to go, my zipper foot comes where you can put it on either side. So you can put it on this side or on this side, and I usually put it on this side. And you're going to hear snoring, but it's my little baby girl. She's She's snoring on her blanket. I'll show you. Where are you? Say hi, Tia. Yeah, I'm just here with my mom. All right. And yeah, I'm in my pajamas. It's Saturday. I don't work today and I don't get dressed. I'm not in pajamas. I'm in like lounge clothing. Okay, so let's just line our zipper up. So I'm going to let this guide, the guide of my zipper, I'm going to let it guide all along my zipper here, and I'm going to sew, guiding it right, the petal flush with my zipper. Okay, so down we go, and we're going to take some back stitches, of course, because now we're working with our zipper, and I need my foot pedal, and I'm just going to take a couple stitches and back up. Not too sure why my thread does this at the beginning now, but it's frustrating. And I ran over that pin. So I'm just feeling where the zipper is to make sure I don't go over it. But I am sewing all 3 layers together. And you can see I've got a bit of puckering. So make sure you pull your pin out and don't pucker it. So pull. I don't want this to pucker. And that's what it just did. So, and it's going to happen. And I don't want it to happen. But it's happening. And I'm sad. So that's really puckering a lot. Wow, a lot. So don't iron, or don't sew over that pucker. Push it out. And I'm just going to keep sewing and stretching my fabric as I go. Like this. And when I get to the end, I'm going to show you how it went way longer, and we're going to get the pucker out. So make sure when you pull that zipper out, or that pin out, and you've still got all 3 of your layers even here. Now, instead of puckering it, I'm just going to fold this piece over, lift my foot pedal, put it underneath, and catch it in there like this. And that's how you're going to fix your pucker. And pull that out. Yeah, don't, like my sister, she just sewed over top of her puckers. And it doesn't look good, so don't do that. So, now what you've done is you've made your casing for your zipper, okay? So you're just going to stretch this out like this and go take it to the iron and press it. Now, lots of people don't do their pressing right after they sew, but I'm in a habit of doing it while I sew, and I like to press as I go. Okay, so I'm going to go take this to the iron and press this out nice and flat, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is how it looks. Now you're going to do the same thing you did on this side. You're going to do on this side. I don't know if you can see me here because I can't see the camera very good. We're going to take our end with right side up, line our zipper up with this piece and the notch that you made, and you're going to do the same thing with this piece. Just line your notch up like that, and then stick some pins in that right in the middle here where you lined it up. And I'm going to do 2 pins because I don't want it to move or shift. Okay. Now you're going to line your zipper up all the way down with your fabric, like so. I'm going to put a pin in here like this. And then I'm going to put this top one down. And I'm going to make sure that they line up perfect here. Like so. And then do the same thing in the middle. Sandwich your zipper in there nicely. Like that. I like to use a lot of pins. Lots of people don't pin anything. They just sew away. I can't do that. I have to pin it. I'm a pin person. I'm not a very big quilting sewing person, so I'm not that confident in myself yet. So I just pin, pin, pin. Better be safe than sorry, because I don't want to rip it out because I made a mess. Okay, and I'm just pinning through. I'm still got all the pins I'm putting in there, but I'm just going to leave this part open because I'm probably going to get more puckering, and I'm going to make sure that this lines up with this. So I'm just going to push this up a tiny bit so that all of my ends are even here before I even stick the needle down in that. So make sure both sides are the same. Okay. All right. And I'm going to push that down. And line that up. Back stitch. Yeah, please don't sew your, one sec. Sorry about that, the distractions. Okay, so I can see, I'm going to try and pull this flat as I can, but I can see it's still going to pucker. It just happens when you're putting on zippers. You get puckers, but just don't sew that pucker in. Pull it tight and go flat like that. Pull the pin out like this, and make sure everything's lined up. Okay. It's better than having a pucker in your work. Okay, and like I said, I didn't finish this end off because I didn't want all of this fabric to, wow, that really shifted a lot. And I really don't understand why when this was, they're all the same size. So, for the sake, I'm just going to bring this down a wee bit. Line this one up. So I'm making sure, what I'm doing here is making sure that these seams here are lining up because of the pucker. And it's almost like I have like bias. So my foot pedal could even be really too tight. So I'm going to line these up perfect. Put them underneath the pedal. And of course it's not going to, but anyway. There we go. Now, so we've just encased our zipper. So this is what you should have. Even though it's not perfectly lined up, we got puckers that prevented us from getting it nice perfect seam, but we'll fix that. Yeah, this one's a wee bit longer underneath. So it lines up perfect here, but it doesn't line up here. See? It's not lining up perfect. I don't know if you could see that. But anyway, I'm going to go iron it. Can't be perfect all the time. Okay. Okay, now if this really bugs you, because this is going to show this part, I'm going to unpick a few stitches and I'm going to re-sew this just because I don't like it to be, I don't want to do work like this. So I'm just going to unpick a few stitches and fold it down even more so it's level with this one here. And then re-sew it. And it's just a little tricky with the back stitches in there. Once you get through those back stitches, then you'll be good. Enough that you can, I have to unpick it all the way down there. So, there we go. There we go. Now, so this one became loose, and is this one loose yet? No. I still have to unpick a couple of more. Alright, there we go. Now, let me just open this up and make it even, the same as that. And I'm going to take it over to the iron and press it because I don't want sloppy ends like this. So I want them to be even. Alright, and that one down. Okay, so let me go press this quickly. Okay, and that's going to be even now. Alright, so let me just run my machine over this a couple of stitches and then we'll fix that up nicely. Perfect. So I'm going to try and get right back in the same threads. Alright, so we have to take a couple of back stitches and don't dare. Alright, let's see how this turned out now. Much better. Now I can't complain because that does look way better. Way, way better. Alright. Now we're going to top stitch the zipper. And this one didn't pull out. So, being very careful how you top stitch. Keep sure, I'm going to use a different foot because I don't like my zipper foot for guiding. I do like this one for doing guiding. So, let me see. I just want to do a really close to the edge top stitch. So I'm going to move it over because you want to catch the zipper underneath too when you top stitch. So right about there. Yeah, that's really close. Back stitch. Okay, all your layers, make sure this is pulled nice and tight and you don't I'm trying to keep it the same distance here. So. I can see I'm getting, you know, close, far, but trying to keep it all the same distance. Back stitch, lift up your foot, and trim off your threads. And now you're going to go down the other side of your zipper and you're going to top stitch that in the same way. Damn. I don't want to stretch this because it feels like this was cut almost on a bias. See? I hate top stitching with white thread. All right. Now this part is done. Trim it off. And trim off your threads from previously. Okay, and trim that off, and we're going to trim this off. Now, for this, we want to finish this off because there's our top stitched zipper, and I mean it's still functional and it's still gonna work, but it's my top stitching is really crappy. All right, so next thing we need to do is attach this to our lining, but we need to fold this in half again now. Okay, and if you are really insecure about your crooked edges here, and which I am too because I'm already a crappy sewer, I'm just going to trim these off a little wee bit so that they so that we don't see this, because this looks really crappy. So I'm going to hold that right line with that, and I'm just going to trim off a wee bit. So I'm nice and straight here. That's what I want, nice and straight. Okay, now let's do it on this side. So I'm just holding this in the opening here. So this is how I'm putting the ½ inch, or yeah, ½ inch here, following that. And then I'm just going to slide my ruler up. And continue cutting. There we go. And now we are perfect. So let's fold this in half here again, like we did before. And now we're going to cut little notches over here as well, just because it's much easier to follow these notches. Wow, I think I cut that one too big. Not too bad. Okay, fold it in half and do the same on the other side of this. This is just my cheating way of doing it. I don't know of any other way to do it instead of measuring. So now we know we have the center here and here. Perfect. Now we need to take our 2 pieces that we have here, our 4-inch pieces, and we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to fold them in half and cut notches. So it's just easier for us to find the centers. Okay. And then trim a wee tiny bit off. 1 and 2. So let me see, make sure that both pieces got caught with that. Yep. All right, so that one's done. Now you need your lining, and you're going to do the same thing for your lining on the opened part of the lining, not the part that's still folded from your actual fabric. So line these ends up because this should be straight from when you cut it. Okay. Fold it in half, and we're going to cut little notches in this as well. Just makes it so much easier. Promise. You're going to love these notches. Well, you won't if you cut them too big like my sister did. Okay, so there's our tiny wee notches. Okay, so now I'm going to completely open up my piece of fabric so I only have one. And with white fabric, there's no real right side, there's no real wrong side of this kind of fabric. But there is lint all over it from my... So now we're going to take our zippers, okay, and we're going to put one piece right side up. Okay, I can't really see that one, okay. Oops, what am I doing? Our fabric down, our zipper. You're going to line your zipper up with your knot just like this so you know it's centered, and then you're going to line this piece up with your zipper as well, and your other piece of fabric. So you've got all 3 layers. You're sandwiching again your lining, your zipper, and your little piece up here that's going to help your zipper to sit down, you'll see, inside your lining. So I'm just going to stick a couple of pins in here like that, and then I'm just going to go along here and pin everything down. So I can see this is not matching up here, so I'm just going to push it out with something, pair of scissors maybe. And I want to make them all even, Steven, so like this, before I pin that down. Okay, so we just want to be really nice and neat and tidy, that's all. So my edges are matching over there, and these sort of match. They probably won't. Okay, and now making sure all our pieces are caught so we can get a 1/4 inch seam on those, like that. And again over here on this side, make sure your 2 purple or your 2 pieces here meet evenly. So if they don't, just join them together like that, put them on top of there, and put your lining piece on top and pin it. Might have came out a wee bit, and it did, so there we go. Alright, and stick a pin in there. Okay, and now we're just going to pin this. Alright, and pin here. Okay, so now we're good to go, and we're good to go sew this on our sewing machine. And we're going to need our 1/4 inch foot for this. So I'm just removing that. We're done with our zipper foot, thank God, right? Oh, wait a minute. Before we do this, no, we'll finish this and then we'll finish off our ends of our zipper because that looks like hell. So let's sew one end in first because now that we've got this all pinned, we're not going to pull this out, right? Okay, so join this up, line this up in there, drop your needle down, go and take a back stitch. And it just gets stuck all the time on me here. I don't know why. It's that. Damn. Wow. Needs some work. My sewing machine definitely needs some work. Alright, so we're in a roll now. Okay, and I'm going to get as close as I can to that pin before I pull it out so I know I've snagged all the fabric inside of that. And we're going to carefully sew. I'm just sewing 1/4 of an inch, like so. And I'm going to get close to this pin before I pull it out so my stuff doesn't unfold. And actually you don't even need to backstitch because this is just part of a seam that's going to get sewn in the side anyways. So this is what you have done so far. So how does that look? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sew something on here to finish off our ends of our zippers. Okay. So let me find. I'm not going to use that tape I had showed you because it's plastic. It's not real fabric tape. And I don't want to use it. Okay. Now, I believe we're going to go press that because this part here, this is going to go inside your bag and your zipper is going to sit inside your bag like this. So it's going to be down and your zipper's inside. It's going to be really cute. How about we use, I'm going to use some fabric on the end of this. So let's cut. I'm going to cut two, let's see, 2-inch, or what, let's see, we don't need really 2 inches. We just need 1/4 inch on each side. So I'm going to cut 2 inches to see how much 2 inches give us. 2 inches by about 4 inches. I'm just roughly cutting this. I don't think we need them this long, but anyway. And that's not really straight, so I'm going to fold it in half. I'll fold it again, and I'm going to cut this so it's straight. All right, there we go. And same with this end. I went a wee bit crooked here. All right, so we have 2 strips like this. Now all we want to do is make like a little pocket like this. Okay, like this, and sew it around on our thing. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this, or press this here, press this in. Actually, I'm probably going to shorten this because this is like ridiculously too long. So I'm just going to say, actually, if we cut it, we could even sew, yeah, I'm just going to make a big long hem like that. That's good. We'll do that. So let me go press this. There's one. There's 2. And now you want to fold it less than a scant quarter of an inch on the edges. just to finish it off. Just put a small seam. I'll show you when I get over there what I did. Like that. Okay. So this is what I did. I folded those in, because now we're just going to fold it over like this over top of the zipper, and we're just going to hide the end of our zipper in it. See? How cute? Now, so it's all folded and pressed. So all I did was press these two ends in, and it's pretty big because we don't need it that big. And we're just going to pin it, fold it in half so you can get, so it's even on both sides. Okay, fold it in half. And now stick your zipper in there, the end of your zipper, like that. And then we're just going to sew this. And you might want to stick a pin in it, because I am. I'm not that great at top stitching. You guys are all well aware of that. And I can see I'm really uneven right here. So let me fix this. It's just buckling over here. Okay. I know this is a bit finicky right now, this part, but it does finish off your zipper really nice. Okay. Like that. I got it. Like that. So we're just going to tack this down. Oh my gosh. Like that. There we go. Now, carefully bring this over to the machine, and I'm going to try to top stitch this without doing a huge mess. I'm actually going to sew across the zipper part first. So, get my thread in here. Make sure this is nice and tightly tucked down. Push that down. I'm going to loosen my foot pedal a little bit so it doesn't pucker. And down we go. You can sew right over top of your nylon zipper. Okay. And I'm just top stitching this down. I'm not following a 1/4 inch. I'm staying very close to the edge. Pulling my pin out. And across the top like that. And down this side. Alright, now what I'm going to do is sew an X inside of those stitches I just put on there. So I'm just going to sew once this way and then an X that way. And it kind of will reinforce it. So I'm just going to go right through the zipper here and I may break my needle if I hit that metal piece that's right there. So I better not run an X through that, because this one here still has the metal piece on the end of the zipper here. So we won't do that. So I didn't cut this one. Didn't need to. It's perfect size. So you've top stitched your little thing on, which looks absolutely adorable. See? Is that not cute? If you want, you can run another 2 stitches here just to make sure everything's all caught in your stitch lines. So I'm just going to do that just to be safe than sorry. So I'm just going to run along this metal line here. My foot pedal's going to hit that. I'm not going to hit it. I'm just securing it. And I'm just going to sew back down this line again. And sew back down this way. So it's good and secured. And it's not going to break my needle, because I didn't watch for that metal thing. Okay, so we're all done, that one. And now you're just going to repeat this on the other side for the other one. Another little piece, just make sure you fold in your ends and go and top stitch it. And if you have a piece of wide ribbon that's not plastic or fake, wow, that's a mess job. I never do anything straight. God, I don't even want to show you what this looks like, because it turned out crooked after all my hard work. Look at how it went crooked. Look, see how easy it is to go crooked? But you know what? I'm not going to care about that, because I'm not here a professional. I'm making a homemade, handmade bag, which isn't going to be perfect. And it's not for anybody, it's just for me. So before you do this one here, you might want to pull your zipper down a wee bit, not that much, a wee bit. And now we're going to go and fold this one. So I'm going to go do this one. And it might even be a good idea to try and sew this together before you even pull that zipper apart, because it's really tricky to sew this here without pulling this thing together. Doesn't always work. I'm just going to squish it like that. Pull this up. See how I did that? And I'm going to go right back over that again so it doesn't come undone. Oh my God, my thread's stuck. There we go. So we'll just hide this now inside our little boxy thing. Okay. And there. So, see what I did? I just sort of zip this together, because it's going to spread apart on you if you don't do something in there. Or you could take a needle and hand stitch that. So I'm even going to go over, I'm not going to do it again. I'm just going to go and do this. So do the same thing here as you did over here. Try to be a little more straighter than I was. It is hard to work with when you're on camera, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I've gotten both ends of my zippers finished off, and they turned out cute. Now what we're working on is putting the other piece of our lining on to our zipper. And first thing you need to do is, this is the right side of our zipper. Okay, this is the right side. Is you're going to take your piece like this, and remember your notch, you're going to match your notch up. So we're going to go right sides together like this. Okay, and we're going to line this up like that. Same way we did on here. Okay, now you're going to take your lining, and mine's still folded, still has that fold in it, and you're going to sandwich this in here like that. Okay, so when we open it up, all our ends will be matched up. Alright, so my lining is a little too high up, so I'm just going to go about there, here, and I'm going to stick pins in here after matching up where my notches are. Again, I'm going to make sure these two pieces of my zipper end here are matched up. Okay, and all of this is matched up, so I'm going to stick a pin in here and then move along down here. That's done, and I believe that's done. Now moving along to this side. Okay, and I'm making sure these are lined up, which they're not. This one's a little bit longer, so I'm just going to roll it in there a bit, not that much. Okay, pinch it there, and I'm going to put a quick pin in that. Like that. Okay, and now line those two pieces up, and then we're just going to go along here and sew a 1/4 inch of a seam on this piece. All right, and I'm going to hold this for a second, and then I'm going to pull my pins, but I'm not going to pull my pin out where I've got my zipper there. I'm going to wait till I get my needle in there a bit, and then pull my pin out. Okay, I'm here again at the joint where get my needle inside there and pull it out. And we're good. Now, line those two up and we are done here. Alright, so now you have just sewed your zipper to your lining. So, this is part is going to go inside of your bag. So when you open up your zipper, so this is how it's going to sit inside of your bag. So when you open up your zipper, all you're going to see is your white, clean, fresh lining. So you want to go give this a little press here. So I'm going to go give it a press. And then I'm going to come back for video number 3 and show you how to get your lining to match up with your front and back piece, and how we're going to sew this together and sew our lining inside. So I'll see you guys on the next video. Okay, one thing before I want to end this segment of this video is I wanted to mention where we had pieced our zipper in here and sandwiched it. We need to go along after we press it and give it a nice little top stitch on top here all the way down. So you need to top stitch all the way down before you before I end this video. Okay, so I'm just starting where I whoops, wrong side, and I'm just using I don't really want a 1/4 inch, so I am going to use my 1/4 inch, remove my 1/4 inch foot and put this little guy on because he is perfect for top stitching. And I am just going to follow my line here. So in there it goes. And there we go. All right, so just go along here and just do a nice little top stitch along here. It's going to prevent your bag from yanking on you and your seam from coming undone. And I'm just kind of stretching it out so it doesn't get kinked. So I'm just doing a really tiny top stitch. Sometimes when you top stitch, you should actually make your stitches really big, but I don't know, I kind of like it just exactly like the way I'm sewing. My stitches aren't super tight and small. And I'm just going to continue this all the way, and then I'm going to go do it on the other side. Right? So that's all you're going to do, is make a nice little top stitch. Okay? And that's going to seal in this here now for permanent. Okay, and I'm going to go and finish this, and I'm going to end this segment now. So go ahead and top stitch here, and I'll be back.